It's been a long, oftentimes demoralizing month of departures leading up to this moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, the transfer portal is open, and it's time for Florida State to do some shopping. Welcome in, everybody, to the Warpath on Warchant TV. My name is Nick Carlisle. Very happy to finally have both of my feet fully inside the Warchant TV multimedia footprint. I am joined, as always, by my good friend and colleague, Matt Lasser. And thank you to those of you who have decided to join us this morning to bring in the new year, to bring in the new portal window, and hopefully soon to bring in some new players to be excited about, because boy, oh boy, was this last month chock full of names that we all were excited about at one point or another entering the portal. Some of them Florida State has already gotten back, and we'll get to that in just a second. And please feel free to leave your questions, your comments in the comment section. We'll get to them throughout the course of the show as well. But Matt, it feels like there have been a lot of times where you and I have uttered these words. This is the most important stretch of Mike Norvell's tenure as head coach of Florida State. Florida State needs to be like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade and choose wisely, because they cannot afford to miss on these portal evaluations again this offseason. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You can't miss on anything at this point, just because it's, your job is on the line, right? You actually did switch it. I saw the message in the chat. There's no other logo underneath anymore, though. So
yeah, I know. Dude, it's so exciting.
Hey, yeah, as Nick said, welcome, Nick, to the Warchant family full time. That's why there is no Osceola logo below anymore, because this is a full Warchant production now, with Nick now coming over and joining us. He's going to wear many hats. He's going to keep doing the video behind the scenes stuff that he has, but he's also we're going to bring him back on the bench after a 6-month hiatus to help me out a little bit. So, going back, it's this is super important. Now, I do think with the evaluations, John Garrett being in the building helps a lot. I think he is elite at evaluation and stuff like that. And I think that's going to be his main calling card as the GM of Florida State. And that's what I think is going to make a huge difference. Now, I don't know what part he's had in the retaining of some of the players that happened yesterday. I know it seems like that. Yeah, it's I'm not exactly sure about that. I haven't checked a lot. I mean, you assume there's something in there, but you also don't know how those could have been done a little bit before he actually came in, and they just now get announced now. So, but yeah, it's I think John Garrett is going to be huge when it comes to those evaluations. You know what was his evaluation that I had heard about?
What's that?
One of my favorite recruits that I've gotten to cover. That should give it away for you.
Jalen?
Yep.
How about that?
Yep. So, it's I'm excited. And I think that's going to play a huge role. And I wonder how much it's already changed the board, him being in the building. Yeah, he did.
The first transfer portal acquisition is me to the Warchant. No, very excited to be on board and very excited to bring in this new wave, hopefully, of optimism, sorely needed optimism for Florida State football. You talk about John Garrett being hired as the GM and what impact that could have had. And what would be a little bit amount of time? We're not exactly sure how much of an impact he would have had, but just food for thought to play devil's advocate. It would be possible he would come in and go and look at a guy like Jabril Rawls, who obviously was in the portal, has since elected to come back to Florida State, and was going to enter the portal with a pretty hefty price tag attached. The source confirmed to me that there was a very hefty price tag. And as much as he loved Florida State, he was hoping that Florida State would have been able to reach that price tag. Looks like they got to that point. Is there a possibility you think that he probably could have come in and said, no, I don't care how much it is, you need to pay him?
Yeah, for sure, there's a possibility, but I honestly, from what I've heard the last day or two, I think that one might have been one of the ones that was done beforehand. Maybe he had a little bit in it, but I think that was pretty close to being done beforehand. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of say working with Mike Norvell that he has now. Now, again, I think he's going to be mainly on the eval side. And then you have Edwards coming in, who's going to be the guy, I think, talking to agents a lot more, which, by the way, from talking to some agents and some people, they are very high on that Edwards hire, and they're very excited about that for Florida State. So, I think people were didn't like the John Garrett hire at first just because it had the connection to Norvell, right? I think that was the first jump thought people had. But I think with the Edwards hire and the combination of Garrett, I honestly think it's they hit it out of the park when it comes to the front office.
Well, as the reporting as well, I think it was our own Ira Schafel that said that there was not actually too many true offers that had gone out for the GM position, and that Garrett was somebody that they identified immediately in that sense. So when you have somebody that's identified, and maybe you just don't want the sense of tunnel vision, right? You don't want the sense that they knew who they wanted. They weren't going to evaluate all options to a quote Norvell, everything being on the table. That's something potentially to be concerned about. But the early returns, or at least the early impressions that, hey, these two, they're in now. Let's see what they can do. A couple of key pieces already back in the boat, as we already kind of alluded to. I know that Deuce Robinson wasn't in the portal, but sometimes it's not who you can get. It's sometimes who you can retain. That certainly was the case with Daryl Jackson last year, in my opinion. I thought that was the most important portal acquisition for Florida State last year, somebody that they never even got in a portal year, but to get him back on the team. Deuce Robinson returning to Florida State for his senior season. Perhaps a little bit of QB baits, a little bit of candy, some Skittles scattered across the sidewalk to lead a good quarterback to Florida State. Talk about some of those quarterbacks that Florida State has had some potential interest in, some mutual interest. Obviously, Colton Joseph, somebody that we've talked about on the Warpath for weeks on end here. But Anthony Calandria out of University of Las Vegas, Nevada, similar type of quarterback to Colton Joseph. Is there one that you like over the other?
I go with Colton Joseph. I think I've been pretty vocal about that. I do really like Colton Joseph. I do think, obviously there's a lot of connections with Calandria, him being from St. Pete and a Florida guy, but I really like how Joseph fits into this offense. I like looking at his highlights, like I said, for the first time. It kind of blew me away about how of a perfect fit he is. And everyone says, oh, he's just a repeat of Tommy, but he's bigger. The biggest knock on Tommy that everyone had was the size, and this is someone who will be bigger and he can be tougher when it comes to that. So you can take more hits and be okay, right, and not get banged up like Tommy was. That's my sense on it. And also, I see in the chat, and I'm working to confirm that news right now.
Is that Ashlyn Barker coming back into the fold? That's probably the one that hurt me the most. Out of those,
we'll see. Yeah,
that were
I'm working to
unexpected.
Confirm that right now.
Okay,
I see it. I see it in the chat, but that's I just want to acknowledge it.
All right. So you have also backed off. I know it was kind of a silly take. It was a question last week. You've backed off your DJ Lagway hype train. You're back on the Colton Joseph train in terms of.
Well, no, that was.
I know.
We know Florida State's not getting DJ Lagway. That's not happening. It was a completely different question from that.
Yeah. Something that Ian McGregor said in the back, no Tommy Castellanos says, please. I'm kind of the impression that it doesn't matter who they're going to be getting in the portal. It's going to be somewhat a mold of Tommy Castellanos as long as Gus Malzahn is here. He may not exactly look like Tommy Castellanos. Hopefully he's a couple of inches taller. I think both Calandria and Colton Joseph are bigger bodies, hopefully more structurally sound. But I think the most important aspect in a quarterback that I want coming out of the portal is what's up here. Because DJ Lagway, a lot of DJs that have just not been great quarterbacks in the state of Florida recently. DJ Uyunglele, wet dish rag personality, wasn't exactly somebody that you would conventionally think is a good leader. I don't think Tommy Castellanos, he certainly walked the walk and he talked the talk initially, but I think over the course of the season that trailed off and it became a personality that I don't know that I would have rallied behind if I were on that football team. Regardless of who Florida State gets in the portal, do they have the mental composition to be able to lead this football team during what is going to be an incredibly important season? Do they have that mental toughness? Do they have that leadership ability? And that's something that you're not going to find out until you get them on campus. You get them on campus for a visit, and you eventually sign them. Any news on that Barker update?
Nope, not yet. I'll if there's news on it, I'll say it. But it's that was a big thing with DJU was just the leadership part of it, and that's a lot thing that team was missing 2 years ago. But now it's what we need to. Hopefully, this next quarterback is a bridge to Sperry. Legitimately, we've been saying that for 2 years from Brock Glenn and then all that. But hopefully this time it actually happens, and I think Sperry is the best option for that. Again, I'm still going to stick with Colton Joseph being my personal pick, and he's been linked to Florida State the whole time. Pete Nakos actually reported this morning that he's also expected to visit Wisconsin. So that's your competition for Colton Joseph. Nothing else on Calandria right now, except I believe it was Tennessee was the school to watch outside of Florida State. So it's that's kind of what we're looking at there. But I think it's a good chance that it'll be one of those two, right? Haven't really heard anything about anyone else.
Where is Joseph from again? Is he a Florida kid?
California.
Okay.
California.
So
actually, he went to one of the same high schools as Jaden O'Neal. So there's a connection there between the two. They had the same coach at one point. So it's there's that connection there, which would be pretty cool for them.
Of course, one of the other guys coming back, Landon Thomas, one that certainly good to see because you felt like this was that third-year leap that could have essentially come in. You got the early PT for Landon during that disaster 2024 season. Stuck behind Pittman this season, but I think there's still enough there that Florida State would have been comfortable saying, okay, what are you looking for? What are you expecting if it's a money situation to try and bring him back? I do like Florida State's tight end room, regardless of whether Thomas is there or not, but having Thomas back, Matt, certainly helps this tight end room. And I do think part of the reason why you're able to bring him back is that Chris Thompson now, with the departure of Papuchis, is the only assistant coach on staff from that 2023 ACC championship winning season, which is insane. How much staff turnover has happened over the last 2 years? Just how crucial in your mind is Thomas coming back to this roster?
I think that's actually huge. I started to hear that yesterday morning, right after I got off my flight, that was probably going to happen, or it was trending that way. Checked a little bit, and it wasn't officially done yet. It got done, I believe, around 4:30 yesterday was when I officially heard about the news or got the news. It was funny because I actually was driving and didn't see it for another hour. But it's around 4:30 is when that was official yesterday that Landon Thomas was coming back. And I think that's huge. So Thomas is one that you need to slide in, and he needs to have a breakout season this year, right? To kind of seamlessly go in. And the only issue with what's happened there is he's just gotten unlucky with injuries and injury timing, right? So if you look at when he's gotten hurt, it's been during, and I've beat this drum a couple times over the last few weeks since he announced he was intending to enter before yesterday. He just got hurt at key developmental times, like a summer walkthroughs before going into fall camp or at the end of spring. Like there's key moments where he just wasn't on the field, and that's hurt him. And that would hurt anybody. It's no one's fault, and it sucks, but that's what's happened. And now this is where you hope that he can really take that role and take that step up. Now, I don't know if this means that they won't be going after a tight end in the portal or not yet. Obviously, we knew there was mutual interest with Kylan Fox. Now, it is important to note that Kylan Fox and Landon Thomas were very good friends at a high school. So that's a good thing to note, and that it could be cool to see that too. I think you were out there with me, Nick. Remember when Fox was talking about how nobody would be able to stop him and Thomas together?
I do think I was out there for that. So I was one of the few people that was like, okay, we need to spend a second roster slot on a second tight end in that class, because they had a full room at that point. They had a couple of walk-ons. Now I know they didn't count for the roster limit back then, but they had a decent room at that point. Was that I think that was the year that they had just gotten Morlock out of the portal. And, I know Kyle Morlock. Ooh, but was that the 2024 offseason where Morlock came in and?
Yes, yeah, it should be right. And Jaheim Bell, yeah. So it should be. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah, but it's no, this would have been the class after that because it's 2024. So yeah, so Morlock was there, so it wasn't really a spot open, and then they got Biscuit came back. Yeah, so sorry, it all gets jumbled up, especially when I'm doing 500 things at once. But it's but yeah, I think that it would make sense. Again, I haven't checked yet if they're going to a tight end. I think the main thing you watch there is what is Chase Lofton. Is because remember he was kind of moving wide receiver, especially after getting injured. Like he was kind of working more at wide receiver going into the season, and so we'll see after that what. Sorry, my bad. Going into the season, he was more at wide receiver and being a hybrid. And if he leans more towards wide receiver, then maybe you're looking at getting another tight end in the portal. You have to keep in mind they are taking two tight ends in the high school ranks for the first time in a while. In Corbin,
two very good tight ends as well.
Yes, yeah. So you might not need, again, I have to do some checking, but if you do, I do think that Fox would be that option or that good name to look at.
No, I really like what Lofton can be. It's going to be interesting to see how he rehabs from that. It was, I don't know if it was a torn ligament or whatever it was, but it was definitely a lower body injury. And really with him, it depends just on how much weight he can put on, because Florida State was absolutely content to kind of usher him in as one of those wide receiver tight end hybrids like Gelsey, like Tariq Mallory, kind of that same body. I feel like they were content to have him be at that weight and just see what he can do and then add more weight on later. Now, after that injury, where does he go from here? Can you put on extra weight? Can you make him more of an H-back guy? A large H-back at 6'6", but nevertheless, I know never say never, especially, I mean, and you really can't ever say never when you talk about Rawls coming back after he was a foregone conclusion that he wasn't going to return to the program. Any sniff in the wind that Pittman is also going to come back? I personally don't think so. Have you heard anything on that account? Yeah.
No.
I mean, if you try to leave the spring before and come back and then still elect to leave, I think there was I think when he first announced his intentions, there was still a little bit of a chance. And that's also why you saw it took him a while to get removed from the roster. If you remember that he was the last one out of those intentions that he was left on the roster, and then he finally got removed. I still think that, I have a hard time believing that would happen, just from what I've heard. Again, at this point, I think you need Landon to step up and go into that role, and that's what you're hoping for. Which he has the talent, by the way. He has 100% has the talent to go step in that role right away. Going through some of your questions and comments, Montre says, do you all think we should take Tavion Wallace?
Is it a hot take if I say no?
No, because I actually agree with you. I would not touch Wallace.
It's not an issue with Wallace. It's that, like, you need ready to play linebackers now. That's not the MO for this portal. Is not a development piece. They don't need any of those. That's not what you need when you take a 30-person recruiting class, right? That's what we've said this whole time since that signing date. So it's like, if you're going to have a guy that's probably going to sit and maybe sit the whole year, or even best case be a rotational guy by the end of the year, I don't think he should be a take.
Call me petty if you want to, but especially not a young development piece that spurned you twice at the altar when he was a high school recruit, because everybody and their mother thought Tavion Wallace was going to be a Seminole following official visits. He commits to Arkansas. Lots of steam coming in towards the end of that season. Oh, he's going to flip to Florida State. Florida State's pursuing him heavily. Spurned at the altar again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't even know what it would be fooling three times. Or can't get fooled again, or whatever the saying is. I don't think, as you say, you need an experienced piece there, and certainly not a young development piece, which I think he also had something going on in high school, whether it was academics or something off the field. Never mind that as much. Panama Noles says, do you all see us going after Coy Parrish? If you want to talk about a stud of a football player, oh my God, this kid is
it's actually, I sent it last night when it announced he was entering. I sent it to Ira right away. I was like, dude, if they're going to go all in on a safety, this is the safety that they should go all in on. But now, Pete Nakos, I believe, tweeted that he was looking at college football playoff contenders and testing the market, and there's still a chance he goes back to Minnesota. If this is just a college football playoff contender thing and that's all he's going to look at, let's be honest with ourselves, guys.
Yeah. Not a video game, unfortunately. I imagine that this kid is going to have a very heavy price tag, and certainly not one that Florida State is going to be paying, especially after retaining Jabril. I just don't think that the budget is there for a kid like Parrish. I think Ohio State is probably the perceived leader.
I thought I read there's a connection there as well for Ohio State, so I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, Ohio State was also the other school that was trying to take him off his Minnesota commitment way back
and
when
Florida
he was
State,
high school.
yeah,
right. So it was Florida State and Ohio State, and I think he actually took an official visit to Ohio State. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe if you want to go back and double check me on that, Matt. I think he actually went and took an official visit there and just never took a visit to Florida State. Like he had planned to. I remember talking to him and saying that he was going to eventually visit Florida State.
I think it was planned. I mean, I could try to find the old text right now if I really want to. And by the way, so we did just got a text. We did confirm that Ashlyn Barker is returning. I'll do the right thing and credit our friends over at 247 that they did put that out first here a little bit ago. But but that is confirmed that Barker is coming back, which probably changes whether or not you can even go after Coy Parrish in the first place. So I would assume that's off the table now, but that's actually huge. I mean, that pretty much locks down this. You might still need a safety, or no, you can just move Duty back to safety, or sorry, Shamar, or no, I don't want to call anyone Duty. That just feels weird, but it's
But you were fully prepared to call Durong Parks Doodles, right? You just so
100%. Yes. Yeah.
There are some names that you are totally okay with saying, and I think Doodles is one of them.
Yeah. So Ashley Barker's confirmed. That kind of locks down your secondary, which is very right? Because I mean, think about it, right? So you got Shamar Arnaud and Ashlyn Barker at safety, Quindarius Jones and Rawls at corner. You're not looking that bad now in the secondary when it comes to this team, and you still will need some depth, which is where I think Nehemiah Chandler visiting tomorrow can come in. Jaquez White, I think he's going to visit soon. I am checking on that now. I was checking on that before the show, just waiting on a response. So it's that's where those guys come in too to help with the rotation, because you did lose a lot of guys like a Kai Bates. Underneath, who was still in your two deep. So you still probably need some reassuring there in that room, but this is a big development. It really helps. Yeah.
Thank you to Director Tom Lang. God, that's what that feels like. Thank you, Director Tom. Back behind the scenes with the Warchant tweet that Ashlyn Barker is indeed returning to Florida State. Out of all the people that you didn't want to lose that were originally going to be leaving, I think you got back the main three that you wanted to get back. You got back Ross, you got back Barker, you got back Thomas. Anybody else? Maybe you can make the argument for Javon Boggs, but honestly, I think if he was truly disgruntled with how things were going in terms of his PT, his playing time, not physical therapy, maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. PT can stand for a lot of things. I think you could probably. I'm okay with Boggs leaving. How do you feel about it, Matt?
I'm okay with it if you can officially retain LaWayne McCoy.
Yeah, and that's probably the big piece that we're waiting to fall, right?
And I've talked to some people around that. I don't think that's done yet, but I think it's probably likely. But it's nothing that I can say for sure. I still, again, I'll go back. That's one of the things on my list to check this morning. But it's I do think that's your biggest person you need to retain that's left, right? There's not really anything else. Like you want to say Joseph.
Desires? I think the
Desirs, but you assume that since they're younger, those are that's probably a 2-year deal that they're looking to get a raise, which they deserve, 100% deserve. They actually share representation with McCoy, so that's an interesting little wrinkle there. But it's I mean, I think now you look with those 3 retainings of Deuce Robinson, Landon Thomas, and now Ashlyn Barker, honestly, you look at the list of the portal guys leaving, and you're I think you're okay with it.
Yeah, a lot of it, I don't want to say the term necessary, but and it certainly hurts because, as we talked about on the show last week, that 2024 class, there is a crap ton of that 2024 class in those exiting. And that was a class that everybody was super excited about. At this point, there's multiple ways that you can feel about it, and please let us know how you feel in the chat, which side you lie on. It's like, okay, this team has won 7 games in 2 years. I don't care. Just get them out and bring in new talent. But also the other side is, man, it would have been good if we could have cashed in on some of that talent. Like, man, wouldn't it have just been awesome if Cam Davis was just the wrecking ball that we all expected him to be? Wouldn't it be awesome if Luke Kromenhoek wouldn't have transferred last year and would have been another year developed in a system, yada yada. I know the fit, and we can go down that rabbit hole another time. But man,
but you go to coaching changes, like you even said before, how much turnover we've had the last 2 years, which has been deserved. It makes sense. Yeah. It's nothing like the team hasn't made a bowl game, but when that was that last staff's, that was that 2023 staff's crown jewel of the class. And that 2023 staff isn't here. So it kind of makes sense. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, we could have developed them, should have done this, should have done that. This wasn't the staff they got recruited for. This is the offense they got recruited for. It's not the defense they got recruited for. It's completely different. It's literally not the same building.
Yeah.
But it's so it's again, that's one where I'm not I'm not too pressed about it at this point, just because it makes sense. It's nothing. It's no one's fault. It's just the way everything. The way the cookie crumbled.
Oh, I can't say it's nobody's fault. There's blame to go around. It's everybody's fault at this point. Just to tie up a couple of loose ends here, I think, with the conversation with Ashlyn Barker, I do think that Florida State should go after somebody else additionally at safety. I mean, you are losing Edwin Joseph. And I do think that Kai Bates would have eventually found himself at safety rather than boundary corner. So I do think there is the necessity to have another person there in the back end. I know that what's that? I saw this on the timeline. I think it was actually Clay Fink doing his thing. So shout out to Clay about that BC safety that was supposedly going to hop in the portal, and he is an absolute thumper, a guy that could have replaced Earl Little at that rover position. I mean, he's a hard-hitting kid. I think there's the necessity for somebody there. I don't think that getting Barker back and getting Jabril just closes that window or that door shut. I think there is the necessity for somebody to come in.
Yeah, and as I said, I think the two DBs to watch right now. I think White is more of a corner, right?
Yes.
But I think the two DBs to watch in general are Nehemiah Chandler from South Alabama and Jaquez White from Troy. The Jaquez White, we know they're going to be a big factor in. It was voiced to me that they were actually really already top 3 going into this portal process. So a visit there is probably expected. Would be surprised unless this news changes that, like the DB room starting to get more full, changes that. But as we said, I still think you need more pieces there below that starting group that's probably really set at this point now with Barker being retained. So really, it's we're looking for depth now at that point.
Yeah, just the other loose end being the Boggs conversation. Look, I don't know. I know that you didn't really feel that it was a major loss, but I really don't feel it's a major loss. I mean, you would have loved to develop a kid like that, but you just take a look at the history of his recruitment. Was committed to Ohio State, flipped to Missouri, was committed to Missouri, obviously flipped to UCF, was going to stay at UCF. Even before, and that was after he took an official visit to Florida State. You were on borrowed time with Boggs anyway, and if he truly feels disgruntled, just let him leave. That's again,
if it's if you can, it doesn't mean that much if you retain Luane McCoy. That's my only caveat with Boggs.
Well, and Florida State didn't offer him for so long because they weren't thrilled about his this top end speed, and with this system, you need speed. Like that is Gus's entire MO, whether it's speed down the field or speed across the field, or sideline to sideline on jet sweep motion. No matter what it is, you need speed there. And maybe not even so much of a fit there. Regardless of what is happening today or tomorrow or even the next day, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of the 50% off transfer portal bundle being offered right now by Warchant.com and On3. You can get the ultimate fan bundle plus a full year of access to the Athletics. So that's Warchant.com, On3.com, and Rivals. Everything that you need to know about what will be, without a shadow of a doubt, the most important transfer portal window of Mike Norvell's tenure as Florida State head coach. Updates from Matt Lasser, potential visitors, updates on mutual interest, even maybe potentially some other people coming back. It's been a day of players coming back into the program. Now is one of the best times that you can try Warchant, and you can get 50% off plus a full year of access to the Athletic. This is the time. This is the time, Matt Lasser, to cash in. If you have been wondering or thinking about that, there's no better time than right now. To go through some other questions here from Ryan FSU. This is important related, but quick opinion on the new running backs coach. We've talked about it on the Warpath a couple of episodes ago.
It's good that he was finally announced. I don't know what the holdup on that was, but man, that took forever. But it's he actually is a good recruiter. He was a big part in Swint, I believe that's the name, from UCF, going there, and they were very close. So that was his big recruitment, and he did that at UCF. Again, it's a Gus guy, played for Gus at Auburn, coached under Gus at UCF. So, when that hire was made, it signaled to everybody that Gus was going to be coming back. And, we kind of had to wait and see. I know he was already reaching out to recruits. Obviously, we're getting Hollywood Smothers on campus here. So he's making a bang early when it comes to running back with at least getting guys on campus. So, we're kind of still have to see how it goes. I think he is a good recruiter, and I think there's proven of that. And I'm excited to see how him going with the Florida State brand can make him even better and help him land even bigger prospects.
Yeah, I was pretty against going after a running back in the portal last week, but after Sawchuk went in, I think I'm going to have to change my tune a little bit. Certainly,
you need one. You need one. I still don't know if you need a top guy like a Hollywood Smothers. Like, I don't know if you need to go all out like that, but you still, now you need one.
Yeah, I think the question that you can attach to every single guy is at what price point, because it's shopping, it's haggling and shopping for a bunch of players across the country. Over 3,000 people already in the portal, and climbing. I don't know necessarily that you need to go after a Hollywood Smothers. Is he a dynamic back? I guess it depends on whether or not.
Is it nice to go after him? Yes.
Sure.
I'm just saying,
money. Hey, we got new money apparently. Throw that money around. Show them what you got, please. Throw money. Make the money rain. Do all of that. Oh, by the way, we forgot to run this. It's just hold your horses, everybody.
Is the portal gun working again?
Yeah, pretty much.
Matt came up with that late last night and sent it to me, and it's just perfect. It literally is. Okay, is it portal season again? Just come on in. Come on in, everybody. Dupree Hundo says, are we looking at any good defensive linemen? There are a couple of defensive linemen that are on.
There's one visiting tomorrow.
And
that is John Walker from UCF, who is one hell of a talent, really. Obviously played under Gus at UCF, even though it's the defensive side of the ball, so I don't think that matters a whole lot when it comes to this recruitment. But Florida State is heavily in this one, and they're getting him on campus first, which if you guys know, nowadays in the NIL world, you want to get them on campus first. It's even leaked into high school recruiting at this point in official visit season because they get that offer, they get the money offer, and that's when they shut it down, right? So that's you want to get them on campus first. Try to get them that offer they can't refuse. I do think he has some visits scheduled beyond that as well, beyond Florida State. But again, you need to get him on campus as soon as possible, and Florida State is getting him on campus first tomorrow. This is a big one. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the portal right now, and I think that would be a game changer for these trenches. Good replacement for. No, I'm not going to say good replacement for Daryl Jackson because I don't think anybody could truly replace that. But him and Wynn's not proven, but him and Wynn together was probably a pretty good tandem up there in the middle.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine so, especially with KJ Sampson entering the portal. I mean, the path to the field was just not there for Sampson. And I'm not overly thrilled about Daniel Lyons either. If Kevin Wynn is able to make that next step, I mean, he only played in 4 games this past year. He was injured for an early part of that season. I know he's country strong. I know you and I are very high on Wynn. If he's actually ready to take that next step with an offseason of work, and he can be at least somewhat of a dominant force in the middle, that could be a decent tandem right there to go in between the Desir twins, maybe Amari Williams and the Jack Roll on the outside. However many down linemen they decide to go, it seems like they literally could not get any pressure on anybody without 4 or 5 down linemen towards the end of the season there. But I digress. NoldAd77 says, Tremento is solid. What's the deal? That's got to be a Papuchas thing, right?
I don't really know. Look, I mean, they have Bruno Ruiz. They have good punters behind them. I'm not really worried about that. And by the way, update on the visit that was supposed to happen today with Tucker Holloway. Just heard back. It was moved back to the 4th. So he isn't visiting today. He will be visiting later this weekend. Tucker Holloway, that is the wide receiver from Virginia Tech and punt returner. I do think they were recruiting him more. I think it's more of a punt returner recruitment. Obviously, we know those woes over this past year, but I think that's where that is. But yeah, that was a visit that was scheduled today, and he just answered me that is moved back to later this weekend.
Jeremy Pope says, "Have you guys heard that Ashton Barker is back?" Yes,
you can scroll back a little bit.
Yes,
and we confirmed that about 5-10 minutes.
Even longer than that, probably 15 minutes ago. Ashton Barker returning for what would be his red shirt junior season. I think he's a third or fourth year guy at this point. He was a 2023 guy, right?
He came in last second before the 2023 season from JUCO. I think it was like technically the portal because it was like so late, but it was because I remember he was one of the first portal recruitments I got to cover working for Warchant. So it's it was that late May 2023. He came in as a redshirt freshman because he redshirted his JUCO year. So he should be, I think he only has 1 year left, right? Because he's been here 3 years. That would have been his this past, yeah. So he will be a redshirt senior next year with 1 year left.
Which is a great get. That's huge news for Florida State that Florida State was able to retain him. I mean, you do not have a body like that with the athleticism that he has in the back end. Like he is, I don't want to say one of one because I'm sure there's other Ashlyn Barkers out there. And I'm sure some people probably aren't that high on Ashlyn Barker, but you've seen that steady improvement every season. You've seen the athleticism. I think you've seen also coachability with Ashlyn Barker. That's a huge get for him to be retained here. Excuse me. We talked about the defensive line. How many offensive linemen are we getting this cycle, Matt? Got to be at least 4 or 5. How many can you fit into a truck and back it up to the Moore Center?
Yeah,
honestly,
you need a lot. The one worry right now is there's not a lot of those because last year the offensive line haul on the portal was incredible. It was a bunch of proven SEC guys who you have seen do it on the highest of levels, right? Like a Micah Pettis had done it at the highest level at Ole Miss. Gunnar Hansen was offensive lineman of the week against Alabama at Vanderbilt. There's not many of those this year.
Pettibone was all ACC at Wake Forest. If you didn't say that,
yeah. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many of those caliber guys this year yet in the portal. They have the kid from University from Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns visiting this weekend. Bryant Williams, big kid, 6'7", 335, I believe. And then you got the kid from UConn who we're watching. A couple kids from UConn are actually pretty good who we're watching. But yeah, it's got to be a revolving door and get whatever guys are coming in and what you can get in. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how it is. I think that has been a position that a lot of teams have made a priority to retain, and that's why you're not seeing these big-time SEC ones go in as much. So kind of going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's that I think is my major concern as well, because we have seen in recent years what a good offensive line can be for your offense and what a bad offensive line can be, and how much of that can be covered up by your quarterback. I would argue that a lot of 2023, maybe some deficiencies on the offensive line were covered up by Jordan Travis. I don't think Castellanos covered up that many deficiencies, especially during the middle of the season when he was hurt. DJ Uyunglele was a statue back there, so we know how that goes. The fact that to say that there's not that many good linemen in the portal, I feel like can be a little bit of a shaky thing because you don't know.
That's not what I meant, though. That's not right. What I meant. I meant like proven commodities like they got last year. I don't think there's as many of those.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And there is not – I don't think there's a single high school guy that I'm excited about. And obviously, I mean, the kids coming from high school are not going to play and for the first
but it's
seasons.
a lot of long-term development pieces. Like Luke Francis isn't playing right away. Right. And you know that because he's only played football for a year and came in to that camp as a defensive lineman. Like there's no Josh Petty's walking through the door where they can play right away kind of thing is what you're saying.
I don't know that Josh Petty's walking through any door after what he experienced this past season. And, it does say a lot that even with the known deficiencies on the offensive line, knowing how much you're going to need to pull from the portal, if you're Florida State, that you still go to Lucas Simmons and Ty Hilton and say, thanks, but no thanks. We want to part ways. I'm assuming mutually, especially with a guy like Lucas Simmons, that there was just never any chatter that it was always like, okay, well, maybe next year. Next year kept coming, and next year kept delivering some pretty non-results, except for a lookout block that ruined the Wake Forest shutout. Offensive line is going to be interesting. I think that Herb has earned his keep, and I trust Herb in his evaluations. I just don't know that he's going to have enough time here to truly sink his teeth into this line, get some guys that he can build around, especially in comparison to your point, the people that they brought in last year. A lot of extremely high caliber. offensive lineman. Trey Nell says, is Isaiah Williams a day one starter next year? You would hope so. I am a little bit worried about the injury rehab and how he's truly going to come back from that. It's up in the air. I mean, he has the tools there to be able to be a day one starter.
So from everything I've heard from people around him is the knee recovery is going well. But he's not going to be full go in the spring. We know that. We know that he's going to be pretty close actually to that point though. Like he's going to be probably in a green jersey walking through and still getting like good mental reps, stuff like that. But yeah, he's the one who has the best chance to be for sure. There's no doubt about that. Like this is the best linebacker recruit that FSU has had coming in a long time. By the way, we haven't talked about Ernie Sims yet.
That's right. You want to break the glass there?
Yeah, Ernie Sims is expected to be promoted to linebackers coach with John Papuchis on his way out to Missouri. So, it's I'm excited for it actually. Like I think it's
which part? Ernie elevating or Papuchis leaving or both?
Ernie elevating.
Okay.
Ernie elevating. I'll never be excited for people leaving. I hope JP does well at Mizzou, but it's
such a kind
Ernie. Yeah, I think Ernie's actually like a pretty not relentless, but like really good recruiter. I've heard from multiple kids, from multiple linebackers that he recruits, that he like wakes them up in the morning with the call and gets them hyped up. Like I think Rodney Colton said that. I think obviously they didn't come here, but I think Isaiah Williams did say that at one point. But that is like he is on these kids very like. I think he's going to end up being this could be really good hire for Florida State.
He almost got that kid from Vero Beach last year, whose name's escaping me. He went to Ohio State.
Tarvos Alford.
Yeah,
he
was very heavy in that recruitment as well.
Because he was on him at UCF and USF before as well. So that was an advantage too. And he also did well in the Jalen Wiggins recruitment. Obviously, he still went to Florida, but that was a big selling point because he's from Tallahassee. That's a guy who, you can use him to help keep local kids here and then recruit any linebacker in the country. Obviously he's the highest rated recruit to ever come to Florida State, and that helps as well. And he was a baller here, which also helps. And, it's always good to have a guy that knows what it means to be a Nole, and that means a lot to him. And obviously when that means a lot to someone, selling it isn't hard at all.
Well, if you play like your position coach, you would hope that the linebacker core starts playing more like Ernie Sims, just relentless, ruthless aggression and explosiveness in the second level of the defense there. I think that really when it comes to Ernie, I think really the main thing that I come back to, Matt, is that he's earned it. He was given a lower level. I don't know if he was just an assistant. I forget what title he was given before he was assistant linebacker coach. He was an analyst, I think, of some sort.
He was an analyst, but he was basically the assistant linebackers coach, right? I don't know if the title was that, but that's what it was. And then, he worked his way up. He was the assistant last year under JP, under Tony White, and then gets moved up this year pretty seamlessly and almost right away. That was the initial thought right when it was announced that JP was going to leave. And then you talk to people, and it was pretty quick to confirm that was probably what was going to happen. And so also want to shout out director Tom behind the scenes today.
You love doing that. You love that.
Whatever. He just sent us a piece of intel. Omar Thornton, safety from Boston College, is one to watch, and there's contact there.
That's who I was talking about earlier.
Yep. And so that's your likely Earl Little replacement, which is the only or whatever. But that's where you're looking at for this secondary as well.
Some good news coming in for Florida State today. In case you're joining us just now at the 45-minute mark, it's been a 45 minutes that has blown by. Obviously, you got the good news earlier. Jabril Rawls the other day coming back to the program. Deuce Robinson returning for his senior year. Ashlyn Barker today returning out of the clutches of the transfer portal. Some comments on the quarterback, people throwing out names. We talked about it earlier in the show. Might as well bring it back around if you're just joining us now. I know it's an earlier morning here on a Friday. Anthony Calandria and Colton Joseph, still the two primary names that we are hearing about. I don't think that there has been any real connection to JMU quarterback Alonzo Barnett, although that is a type that I think would interest Gus. Some other names that have been throwing out, the North Texas QB.
Yeah, let's stop throwing out the North Texas QB. If he doesn't go to Oklahoma State, we'll all be surprised.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. And Sorsby is definitely going to Texas Tech. His girlfriend just committed there for, I believe, volleyball. Always follow the girlfriends. The girlfriends is one of the if they have a girlfriend that goes to a school, that's one of the easiest ways to figure out where they're going. But it's
that's how you get into recruiting these days, ladies and gentlemen. Just know the girlfriends.
Yeah,
all the intel you could ever want.
I think about Carson Beck went to Miami. They're not dating anymore, but his girlfriend was at Miami at the time. Like, come on, it's a clear trend.
Is Juice Knight a possibility? Not without
so.
an exorbitant price tag. And
what's that? It's Boston College and Ole Miss are on the short list there, I believe, for leaning around.
I think so. About the TCU QB, I think that Josh Hoover. I don't think he's a fit. Matt, what do you think?
Look, man, I think we've been pretty clear. It's Joseph, and Joseph has been Joseph or Calandria, and that those have been the two that we've been watching. There hasn't been anything else really to come up. You guys throw all these names out, but really the only ones that have been consistent, really, it's Joseph has been the most consistent, and then Calandria from the second he hopped in. I just think that those are the two that you're looking at right now until further notice. You'll know if there's another one, but those are the two. And I still think Joseph is the most likely. He's getting interest from other places now, which was expected. You're not going to go for a quarterback with one of these top quarterbacks, even though you can argue that Joseph isn't anymore with everyone that comes in. I still think he is because there's need, supply and demand. But I think that's been the biggest link, and I still would call that the most likely at this point.
Savage Dad 1279 says, "Morning, fellas. Is it realistic to think we can get enough in the portal to be too deep at all positions to get past Charlotte? I know Tech and Indiana did, but those top tier guys ain't gonna want to come." I think is what Savage Dad is trying to say. I don't think that Florida State is going to be able to get too deep at all positions, mainly because of offensive line and defensive line. I think, and unfortunately, there's somebody screaming at the television screen or the monitor or their computer screen right now. That's where Florida State needs to be focusing. I know, but I don't think that Florida State is going to be able to get too deep at those positions. You say that, but then Florida State took 6-7 defensive linemen in the high school class this past signing period. So
because I think it's throwing numbers at the problem,
right? Yeah,
but it's throwing numbers at the problem. I think so. That's what and this goes back to what we said on signing day or post signing day. The reason why you took 30 high school kids is so you have that depth there already. And now you can go after bona fide starters and sure things in the portal. That's what we think the whole point of that is. So I don't know about a full too deep because I think you have a lot of your depth there. Most of the guys at this point that have intended to enter the portal were pushed out, quite frankly. And you're kind of okay with a lot of the guys that you see now, especially with at Barker being retained. That was kind of the last one. Obviously, you want to retain Pittman, but that is what it is. I think you'll be okay at tight end. I think there's enough athletic tight ends in this room to make up for that. But yeah, it's I think the people who left in the portal I think we're okay with it. And also, I see Luis Panama Nole here, Otto and Sandman. Those are the two that you need to take a step up this offseason, especially Otto. Otto is one that, we always say good things about. When he's gotten in the game, he's kind of been thrown in there. In 2024, he was thrown in there, and it's what happens when you get thrown in there, and it's gotten better since then. But you hope a guy like Otto is one that can really be an anchor going into this year, having been here so long. And Sandman is one that's been hyped up by Herb, by Coach Hand, by Luke Pettibone. I don't we'll see if they go after a center here, but if not, it's going to be hard to start a redshirt freshman at center, though. Do you agree with me on that?
I mean, it would, but I think they like him that much to give him a shot. I mean,
yeah.
He may not have seemed like much when you grabbed him in the later signing window, but I mean, he was being recruited by some serious programs before his recruitment fell off a little bit for reasons that were off the field, is what I was told. Can't remember if that was officially reported on, but if not, we'll just keep that ho-hum here. He was after, I think Oregon again he might have even been committed to Oregon at one point. Maybe I'm just misremembering.
He was. It was Oregon and then FIU and then Florida State.
Right. So, I mean, he did have a very strong earlier recruitment. It's going to be a tough sell. I feel like I say that every single show about a bunch of different things. It's going to be a tough sell, but they certainly like Sandman Thompson.
Everything's a tough sell these days.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just back up however many offensive linemen you can fit into a bus, just back the bus up, get them off the bus and get them into the strength and conditioning program and see what you have. Let's see here. I did see something.
Oh, hey, there is one name I want to bring up that's on our probably or like expected to visit list. Or actually two names that we haven't brought up that I just want to make sure we get in before the show ends. Both linebackers. We've talked about Tristan Exline from University of Texas Permian Basin. He's expected to visit at some point because that was the D2 guy that's been out for some time now. But the one that I confirmed or got last night was Chris Jones from Southern Miss, the leading tackler in the Sun Belt. The date isn't set on that yet, but it's expected to be set here soon. There's a picture of him visiting back in high school at Florida State. But this is a big-time linebacker, one of the best in the portal. Again, leading tackler in the Sun Belt from Southern Miss. This is a big visit to get on campus pretty quickly. I think it would be sometime early next week is my guess. If it does get to that point, obviously, again, as we said, with these portal guys, you want to get them on campus as soon as possible, as quickly as you can. But this is a big one that is looking at FSU. The other schools that were in it, sorry, let me pull up the story real quick from today that I had put. NACOS had reported some other schools being involved early, and those being Kansas State and Ole Miss. You think out of those, you'd probably lean Ole Miss just because he's a Mississippi guy, right? Southern Miss from Mississippi. Those homegrown guys are always there and normally always lean Mississippi. It's always, Azon will tell you from working in Mississippi that it's no in between. It's either they love it and they don't want to leave and they have to be close to mom, or they hate it and they're going as far away as possible. So we're gonna see which one this one lies here. But obviously he already went to school in Mississippi, so you look at Ole Miss as more of a homecoming for him as a competitor. But Florida State is expected to get a visit as of now.
We've talked about it briefly already, but Max Mento entering the portal, that's the most recent portal entry on the Florida State side of things. Why would he go into the portal? We assume, or at least I assume, it's a Papuchis thing. It's something related to Papuchis and the fact that you have a former 5-star punter, for whatever that's worth, behind you in Bruno Reyes. I mean, he's a 5-star kicker and a punter. I mean, that kid's got one hell of a leg. So that's what I would assume that it is. I mean, because it's not exactly like you're keeping tabs. It's not like you're wiretapping phones for information on whether Florida State's punter and kicker are going to enter the transfer portal. I'd have to assume it's a coaching thing.
I think you could find a punter.
You could find a punter.
I think there's already one on your roster probably too. You could do it. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I did just want to quickly go through all of the names that will be leaving. Well, maybe not officially yet, but have announced.
You're gonna go down.
We're gonna go through the list. Yep, we're gonna go.
We might be here a while.
We're gonna be here a while. Jesus, Jaden Parrish, L.A. Jesse Harold. So you're not gonna have to worry about how to spell his name anymore, Matt. I know he's a personal favorite of yours. Inside jokes. Mario Nash Jr. I just don't think that he was ever going to last here. Luke Douglas, Tylen Coleman, Jamori Flagg, Jalen Lucas, Edwin Joseph. Wide receiver Willie Suarez. Man, I kind of wish they put that kid on scholarship. I always kind of liked Suarez.
So did I. Good kid too, by the way. Really good kid. And he was always a practice star. He was always really good at practice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one thing. Practice is one thing. Games are another. Christian White.
Practice.
Playoffs. Cam Fryer, Kai Bates, Jabril Rawls. Obviously, Rawls is back in the fold. Cam Davis, Jaden Jones, Omar Graham Jr. Did you see his retweet of Ernie being elevated?
I did see that. I'll check in on that one. There's only so many hours in the morning, Nick, and I had to prep for the show.
I know. He did a fantastic job. Randy Pittman, Jason Jenkins. Boy, was that an expensive failure. Jason Jenkins, the portal. Jalen King, Landon Thomas, who's obviously back in. Elijah Moore, Brock Glenn, James Williams, another expensive purchase that didn't work out. Javon Boggs, Ashton Barker, who is back. Manasseh Etite, Gavin Sawchuk, Lucas Simmons, Earl Little Jr. is listed here, but he's going to the draft. Ty Hilton, KJ Sampson, and the aforementioned Max Mento. I'm not going to go back
again
through all of those, but a lot of guys
it should be like 27 or 26 with the guys staying, I believe.
Yeah, something around that.
Something around there.
A lot of kids.
But none of those are big. Not many of those are big losses at this point now. Your biggest loss in that list is Randy Pittman and Edwin Joseph. Edwin Joseph, I think we all agree that ran its course at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And, if they get that BC kid, we're fine. Yeah, I think most of those kids were pushed out. And I don't think it's that big of a worry, especially with the guys they've gotten back in the fold these past 2 days. So now let's go, as you open the show with, let's go shopping and get the rest of the pieces, and we're looking okay.
Where is it?
Is the portal gun working again?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know how many of our audience knows Rick and Morty, but hey, it's still funny. We got about 5 to 10 minutes left to go on the transfer portal special edition of the Warpath. Thank you all so much for joining us this early hour of the morning. Somebody said it earlier in the show, and something that I certainly agree with. Let's get some positivity flowing. It just feels like body blow after body blow after body blow over the past, 2 years. They haven't stopped.
Yeah.
They haven't stopped.
Now we're getting good news. We're getting good news now. Now it should really all be good news from here until like spring football, right? Because now it's just all we're going to talk about is the portal commits, and everyone is excited. And they'll lose a few guys, but that'll get forgotten about amongst all the commits we're about to get.
Do you think that I know Corey has echoed this sentiment, and I think a lot of people would echo this sentiment. Is getting the quarterback right the number one priority for Florida State in this transfer portal window, or is it attacking the trenches and finally getting some stability there?
Attacking the trenches and finally getting some stability there.
Mm-hmm. I would have to.
That's got to be your. That's always.
But
sure. Look at the teams winning in the playoff. Like, it's the trenches. It's all built on the trenches, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like if there's a good offensive line on the field. If the quarterback's not okay, that's whatever. You have Deuce Robinson who can catch anything within a mile radius, and then so it's okay. But then you can run the damn ball over and over and over again if you have a good offensive line. And guess what? It doesn't matter. And by the time you're in the end zone, it's 17 plays and there's 10 minutes off the clock, like every team this year. So it's I think it's offensive line and defensive line. And we need some interior guys so that the Desir twins can have another year like they did. Right, I think Daryl Jackson played a big part in that, more than people give it credit for. So you need to. I think that should be first priority.
Looks like a pretty divided opinion here in the comments section so far on that. Street Corner Card says, "How soon do you think we'll see commits?" I mean, you've got kids visiting. The visit today was pushed back.
It was pushed back, but still, you're going to see like the way the portal works and how fast this moves. Like Monday, Tuesday, you could probably see commits. Maybe even Sunday,
whatever day that is. Yeah,
I think whenever there's a kid on campus, whenever he finishes up his visit, you could see commitments. Because again, as we said, it's important to get them on campus first when it comes to the portal, rather than last. It's just important. They just need to get on campus. They can go somewhere else, but you still need to get them here, right? You just need to be. They need to be on campus. That's it.
Thank you, NoKev, for the $5 contribution. Thank you guys for putting in work. Thanks for joining us, NoKev, and thanks to everybody else for joining us as well. Do you think Joseph could be a QB that elevates that room from this past year? Matt and I have different opinions on this. I'll let you go first.
I say yes because of his size. That's pretty much – I've already gone on the rant a bunch of times, and you can scroll back and see it again. But the main reason is his size. I think it does, and hopefully this one is a bridge to Kevin Sperry, because I think we all agree that Kevin Sperry could be really good and a really good fit here. And there's even still a debate that people think Kevin Sperry should start right away. Look, I would love to see Kevin Sperry start right away. I do want to say that, and I do think he's talented, and he probably could. But I think with Norvell, with his job on the line, he just can't afford to do that. I think that's the difference there. If he wasn't on the hot seat going into the year, I think you could. But that being the case, it is what it is.
I know we're trying to be a beacon of positivity here on the show, but I do have a majority negative outlook on this with the quarterback. I think Gus is going to go after a certain type of quarterback, and you look at the stats side by side. I mean, Joseph, does he have more touch than Tommy Castellanos on a deep ball? Perhaps, but I mean, Castellanos was a 59% passer. I think Joseph was only 60%, also had interception problems. I think you run the risk of running into the same problems that you had this past season, no matter which quarterback you get with a potentially worse offensive line. I think maybe even you can definitively say, yeah, this offensive line is going to be worse this season just by taking a look at who they lost. I'm just not confident that Joseph can elevate that room. I'm not confident that any quarterback can elevate that room. I take a look at a lot of who the quarterbacks that are linked to Florida State right now, and I think that is just a taller, stronger Tommy Castellanos. Goes back to what I said at the earlier part of the show. What's up here? What's the mental composition looking like for these two guys? That's really going to be the question.
And also, a lot of it goes away if you have a good offensive line. You have a good receiving core. We know they're going to have a good receiving core, right? Even if you assume Danzy's coming back, there hasn't been any rumblings or anything there, and he's a hometown kid. I would be surprised. The only reason I would say if Danzy were to leave the program was that he's focusing on track full time. That would I wouldn't think he's entering the portal.
Oh, that would be a gut punch. I mean, but you'd understand. You'd understand 100%.
And then if you can keep Wayne McCoy and then you have Deuce Robinson, that's a damn good receiving core right there. What quarterback would not want to play with that? Again, you could just toss it up and Deuce Robinson will probably come down with it. That's all you got to do. And then if you get a good offensive line, again, we're on the side of we think the running backs are there already, but they're going to bolster that room a little bit more. That's a good offense.
Yeah.
No matter the quarterback, right? If you get a good offensive line in here, no matter the quarterback, with the pieces already in place, that's a good offense.
Yes. Especially if you could focus on one running back this time, preferably, maybe two. A guy can hopefully. I mean, that sounds like a decent offense to me, as long as you bell cow Chroma or bell cow.
Or Hollywood Smothers.
If Hollywood Smothers is that guy, he's that dude. He's that dude. I think that about wraps it up for us on this transfer portal special, this special edition.
Hey, can we flash up the known visits little graphic as we head out, just to give everyone a little snapshot of what we're looking at right now?
Did you upload
it? Should be uploaded in there.
Let me look it for here. Oh, here we go. How about that? Look at that. Well,
here are some known visits as of now that. Obviously, this is going to change, and I'm sure there'll be more, and I'm sure there'll be names added to this list, and I'm sure there'll be names taken away from this list by the end of the day. That's the way these things fluctuate super fast. I'm sure I'll have to hop on the thing in about 5 minutes and change something. That's the way the portal goes, especially on the first day and the first few days. So things are constantly fluid. This is what we have right now, what we know about visits right now. To keep all up to date on it, we have the Warchant watch list, which is essentially just a spreadsheet that updates the list that I update that I've been doing for the past few years now. It's a very organized, clean way to look at it. Makes it very easy. Then we'll have the written updates thread that's already up there, where whenever I update the list, I'll put an update in there with just it written out of like, hey, this kid's visiting. Hey, this is one to watch. That'll be in there. And to look at all that, Nick, ready to put up the promo?
We make such a good team, buddy. Hey, hey. Put it here.
Other side.
Oh. Wait.
There you go. Yeah, it's
there we go.
good enough.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's 50% off transfer portal special right now. All of that info that we've gone over, and there will be more soon. And we're gonna have more videos for you. It probably don't want to commit to it, but we were talking about possibly daily shorts to recap each day in the portal. Again, don't hold me to that, but that is something we have discussed, and everything is going to be on warchant.com on the premium recruiting board first. No matter what, it will be there first, unless we're live and things drop like it did today. But it's a rarity, so it's subscribe now.
Yeah. Hopefully, Florida State's portal shopping goes better than that high five did, Matt Lasser. We've known each other for a long time.
I want to say I got it on the right side and you didn't. I don't know why you were on the exact other side of the screen. Yeah, but you couldn't adjust. You didn't respond very well.
Yeah, didn't respond very well. Didn't have it in here. Didn't have it inside. That wraps up everything. Again, you can find all this information and more consistently updated by Matt Lasser over here at warchant.com on the premium recruiting and portal board. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of your Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned to not only Warchant TV, but warchant.com for all of your portal news as we enter what I deemed at the beginning of the show, the most important 2 weeks of Florida State Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State, at least until the next time there's a most important part of Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State. We can only have so many. I'm sure there's a straw that's going to break the camel's back eventually. Have a great rest of your day. Happy New Year, everybody. Enjoy some remaining time with your friends and family. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you another time.